Hey dudes and dudettes, my name is John Fajer. I just bought a farm. We're calling it Fajer Farm. It is my wife Paige and I's intention to document the trial and errors, however painful they may be, on YouTube of our successes and failures in converting from absolute city slickerdom to 100% bona fide permaculturists. That's why today we are going to be talking about these guys, red worms and vermicomposting. Why would you vermicompost? Well, the answer, as with all things agriculture, goes back to soil. It's always soil, 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 soil. Here in the Ozarks, where our farm is, we have an ulti-sol soil, and that basically means that it's very, more, I think, somewhere between very and slightly acidic. It has a lot of aluminum in the, gosh, I don't even know where to begin. This is, I gotta think way back. By the way, these are not edited. You know, this is, these are come as real as it gets. These videos. I think we have a high aluminum and hydrogen content in the clay part. Oh, I dropped my worm. In the clay part of our soil, and that's not good for plants. Aluminum is toxic to plants, and so is extremely acidic conditions, which a bunch of hydrogen ions create in the soil. So the answer to that, without getting into all the nitty-gritty, which I probably don't remember, and I'm not even an expert anyway, is to increase the cation exchange capacity of the soil. Now, how do we do that? We add organic matter. That's like the solution. My professor, my soil science professor at Oregon State University, says that 90% of the soil problems are solved by adding organic matter. So, how do we make organic matter? Well, there's a bunch of, as you can see all the trees behind me, we have a lot of red oaks and cedar trees up here. And they're deciduous, so they fall down, and they do make a little bit of organic matter. But because of the high carbon to nitrogen ratio, and especially this year, it's pretty arid, we're having a drought this year, it doesn't compost. All the detritus doesn't compost down there, and in the soil, in the organic layer, and you need it to compost in order to create humus, which is the ultimate goal. If it could rain humus every day over here, I'd be a happy man, but it can't. So, that's where these guys come in. These guys, vermicomposting, using worms to hasten compost. If I were to take these oak leaves and throw them in a pile, in fact, there are some over there, and over there, and over there, over there. Whoever we bought the house from tried to compost, but I guess they didn't quite know what they were doing. Because there's not much water up here, these things aren't going to compost, and because they have a high carbon to nitrogen ratio, it's going to take them forever to compost. So, how do you make oak leaves compost faster? You take this dude, this little badass right here loves to eat compost, and he shits it right out, or eat oak leaves and just shit it right out. That shit is what I'm after. I love worm shit. Now, we have a fair amount of land over here, and it's gonna take more than just a little bin of worm compost in order to increase the organic matter and the humus content of our soil. And even that doesn't matter anyway unless we start liming it. But that's a whole nother anyway. Whole nother. Back to the worms. Right. So these guys started, I got these because in my soil science class at Oregon State University, I went to Linda Brewer's house, and we had a worm composting class, basically, as a crash course. So I'm no expert, but I've got 4 hours up my sleeve, you know what I'm saying? And they all started in here. We put some paper and some food in here. And this is where the worms started. Next, the worms multiplied over the course of a couple months, and I had to put them in this thing, this big old bin right here. And that's fine and all, that big old bin, but I think it's time for the worms to get a permanent home, and we just keep stepping up and up and up. And when we bought the house at Fajer Farm, it came with this old concrete thing. And this old concrete thing, I suspect, was used for water, but I'm not actually sure. Whatever it was used for, it's now used for worms. I'm gonna go ahead and try and make a home for the worms in here. I can't just release these worms into the wild because this is not their worms' natural habitat, and you want to be careful about introducing new species anyway, because they might be the one that takes all the other species over. Anyway, so I'm going to try and create my own little ecosystem here. For example, these worms need moisture. It's not moist over here. We're in a drought. But this thing is going to allow me to, this little concrete bin is going to allow me to, you know, come over here with a hose and spray it down and put moisture in it. And until we get, you know, a bunch of rain buckets set up and 10,000 gallon tanks and whatnot, and we're not using rural water to water our entire agricultural operation, I'm just going to leave these worms in here. So, this is officially Fajer Farm's first project. Get those worms a nice little home in here. And I've got some bales of hay and some whatnots and thingy-mabobs, and I'm going to go get them, and I'm going to put them together, and then I'll come back and show you what I did. Worm poop. The wormies are going to treat me right, so now it's time to treat them right. First and foremost, at the bottom, just a little bale of hay here. Get this down the bottom. I've noticed that in my bins, the two bins I've had them in, they like to go down to the bottom. And I don't know why that is, but we're going to put this stuff on the bottom. I know they hate sunlight, you know, so that might have something to do with it. We're just going to put this stuff and fluff it out so that it compacts down, and they've got, you know, a little underground and tunnel network of easily to access straw, if that made sense. Alright. Go. And the straw compost is pretty easy too. So this is, it looks high right now, but as it composts, it'll go down, 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 down. Get in here, stomp it around. Whoa, a little bit. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Stomping hay! Woo! Oh, shit! Okay. Alright, that's enough stomping hay. Alright. Second, I'm going to add the wormies themselves. And you should be able to see when I dump this out how they're all going to be down on the bottom here. Wormies. Hope I didn't kill them. Oh, there's one. Yeah, see, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. They're all on the bottom here. I'm going to spread this stuff out. See how moist it is? That's probably a little too wet for them. I don't know if you can see on the screen, but they need a little bit of wetness. Too much will drown them. Like when it rains, you see all those worms, dead worms on the sidewalk. You don't want that effect with your vermicomposting bin. Some of these worms aren't looking too good. And this stuff is hot now because it's been composting. And as it composts, it gets up to, geez, 160, 180 degrees. And that's one of the reasons I took them out of the bin. And one of the reasons also that I laid the straw down, to give them some place to escape the compost. Now, even though this straw is composting, around the edges it's going to be cooler, and, you know, they'll have a place to go to escape the heat of the compost. I'm not sure if the heat of the compost will kill them. I think 160 degrees will kill them. If it'll kill bacteria, it seems like it'll kill worms. But ultimately, I'm not sure. And last, but not least, well, okay, second to last, a big old trash can full of oak leaves. There you go. There you go. Alright. These guys on down here. Now these oak leaves are going to serve two purposes. The first purpose is, I hope would be obvious, is that worms don't like sun. They live underground. This is going to protect them from the sun, as well as give them another place they can go if the compost gets too hot. Like I said, the center is going to be the hottest, so you need to have a radial area they can access. And the second purpose of it is it's going to act as a mulch to retain moisture when I do the last and fourth thing, which is give them some water to deal with. We just moved them. These poor worms have been moving from home to home. There we go. They've moved across country. They've moved from Oregon to Arkansas. The least we can do is make their stay a pleasant one. These worms are going to give us so much nummy goodness that we got to do what we can. Anyway, I'm going to keep spraying this down, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Well, oh, one more thing before we go. I'm going to be on... Shut up, hose. I'm going to be on the constant lookout for predation inside this area. I don't think that any raccoons or possums are going to get up in here and start digging through and eat my worms. I certainly don't think the chickens will. But as this stuff composts over time and it gets more and more, you know. All right, the camera decided it was going to overheat. So, as I was saying, as this gets dirtier and dirtier and it turns more and more into worm shit and humus and dirt, you'll be able to see signs of predation if they exist. Also, I don't know how much longer the camera's going to stay on, so just real quick, what do these guys eat? Well, we cut anything, basically anything. Anything any other animal could eat, they would eat. They're pretty good at it. They eat oak leaves, they eat straw, they eat paper, they eat onion ends, they eat bread, they eat meat. They don't eat bones, but I suspect they do get calcium from them. So yeah, that's it. There's the start of the Fajer Farm vermicomposting, and I will keep you updated as we progress here. Hopefully I don't kill all my worms, and hopefully I've got a nice bin full of worm shit that I can plant tomato plants in. I hope you guys learned something, and if you're like some kind of vermicomposting expert and you've seen a gross violation of vermicomposting conduct here, please leave me a comment and let me know. I am all about learning things that I don't know. It's a hard transition straight from city slicker to permaculturist. A lot of reading involved. Alright, see you guys later.